Namaste and welcome. I'm Julie Hill with Yoga Body. I help people eliminate pain and get back into doing the activities they love through finding pure movement, more efficient and easeful movement throughout their day, letting go of some of those compensatory patterns. And so I wanted to share with you today just a short practice that you can use to help relieve any tension that you might have kind of built up or become more aware of what's going on inside. We're going to be focusing mostly on the hips and the lower legs, but you may feel some opening coming through shoulders, chest, and neck as well. So for today's practice, you'll need some kind of strap, and I have a stack of blankets here, which you could use towels or pillows. For the strap, if you don't have a yoga belt, which most people don't at home, you can certainly use any kind of bathrobe tie, maybe a belt, any kind of rope or anything like that will work just fine. So we're going to start out laying down on our backs, and we're just going to take a couple of easy breaths. And when you're laying down, I want you to think about placing your hands on these smaller ribs. So the ribs kind of break open here, so kind of towards the lower and the sides. So we're going to lay down. I'm going to make sure I stay in camera here. And placing the hands here, and just about 3 or 4 breaths, allowing these ribs to expand out to the sides and then gently come back. Feeling both the expansion and the release, that kind of soft surrender of all of those bones sinking back down. You might feel it coming down your sternum as well. Make sure that breath isn't causing any strain in your throat. That's easy. Taking a moment just to scan through, feel the heaviness of your head, your shoulders, your arms, your hips on the mat, legs and heels. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and bring in the right leg. And you can grab underneath the thigh here, give it a gentle squeeze in. You could have just above the shin. We're not going for crazy here. We're just allowing this to be a gentle squeeze in, kind of a morning or an afternoon hug. Let the back of the hips still remain connected to the floor rather than kind of lifting up. Good. And then while the leg's in, let's go ahead and grab the strap and just place it around the bottom of the foot. We'll start here taking the opposite arm with the strap and just easy circles. So letting the pelvis really stay connected to the floor and heavy, but allowing this leg bone to move around in the socket a little bit. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and rotate this leg externally. So really how it's positioned in the socket, letting it kind of open to the side, and then come back to neutral, and then rotate internally. And notice if the foot wants to kind of tilt or slant, try and keep the sole of the foot relatively parallel to the ceiling. It doesn't have to, but just notice what happens through the ankle as you change the position of this leg bone in the socket. Good. And then from there, if you have it available, we're going to go ahead and put both hands in the strap. So it'd be around your wrist. I don't want you to grab onto it. I really want palms shining towards one another, if you can do that, and let it come through. Now, you may not have a long enough strap to do this, so if you do, great, you can tie a knot, or if you don't, you may want to just see what you can do to find a longer strap, or maybe just put it around behind just above the knee right there if it won't go to the foot. And then we're just going to use the arms to lift the leg and stretch out through the back of the leg. And then we're going to lift the leg down towards the floor, letting the arms lower. So the arms are the energy as the leg comes up, stretching long. All the power comes through the arms to stretch, to lift that leg up. And then the leg is what brings the arms back down. Lifting the arms up, letting them stay together and really pull that leg. You can do this with a bend in the knee too. It doesn't have to be straight. You could have it like this. I'll just do that 3 or 4 times, maybe a couple more, whatever's good for you. And then from there, we'll remove the strap. Let this ankle cross over the opposite knee, coming into a supine figure 4, leaving the back of the hips really heavy. And you can even leave that foot on the floor and put your hands around your hips. And let them stay touching. So the back of the hips are touching the top of your hands. We're not going to slide the hands in. We're going to leave them where they are as you draw this leg in to notice if the pelvis is kind of rocking up. And that might be your pattern or your tendency, which puts a lot of kind of pressure on this lower back. So let's go ahead and pass on that for today. And just allow the leg bone to move in the socket, both of them, without dragging the pelvis with it. And then you can stay there and open your arms to the side if you want, taking a big breath in. Again, letting the rib cage kind of come out to the sides and softly release. And then lower the legs back down. We'll come to the other side, drawing this other leg in, maybe hands underneath thigh or on top of the shin, whatever works for you. Give it a squeeze in. Good, and then we're going to go ahead and put the strap around the foot. Opposite arm there, and just let the other arm go out, and we'll circle it around. Again, you could have the knee straight, or it could be a little bit bent, or even big bend in that knee. It doesn't matter. Just whatever's right for you, so you get a chance to move the leg bone around in the socket. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and rotate that leg open and come back to neutral, and then internally rotating the leg. Think about rotating from down here where the leg bone goes into the socket. So more from the femur than at the ankle. And then open again. Again, maybe bend a knee, maybe a little straighter, and in. Good, and then you can slide the arms in the strap again. Letting the leg pull the arms down towards the floor, and then the arms lift the leg. The leg just really follows along. I have my knee a little straighter, but if you wanted it bent, you could. Feels like a really nice stretch down the back of the leg. Again, notice that my hips are staying connected to the floor here as I lift up. I'm not rocking the pelvis at all. You can do this 3 or 4 times. Then when you're done, we'll take the strap off and really maybe use your hands as a feedback system as you lift that leg up. Just keep it nice and easy. A couple of easy breaths, sending the ribs out to the side and back. From here, we're going to release that leg down. Let's just use the same leg. We're going to cross it over. I'm going to stretch this leg out and not send it to the side. I'm going to send it diagonally down. And let this rib cage really stay kind of relaxed or settled to the floor so that it doesn't lift up. Same with this, with the same shoulder and arm. Your head can turn that way if you want. Just take a nice easy breath. Sending it to this top rib cage. And then release. Then we'll go to the other side, keeping that leg a little bit straighter. It doesn't have to be straight if that doesn't feel right for you. And again, it's not over to the side. We're really going diagonally towards that corner and letting the leg just work its way there. Notice if you want to lift a lot from your rib cage and let that stay settled as much as you can. The hips are going to lift, so the ribs will too, but rather than having that be like the engine of the movement, ribs kind of picking up to let that happen. Just let them stay really heavy and relaxed all the way through the shoulder and arm as well. And a couple of big breaths through this top rib cage here. And then gently make your way back. And then just to kind of finish off, we're going to use the blankets here. And I like to set up a kind of a tiered positioning with the blankets. So I have 3 different settings. You could have 3 different towels or a blanket and a pillow, what have you. But I'm going to start a little closer to where my hips are, and then kind of a step here, and then another step. And I'm going to use this top one for my head when I get there. And then if you do have a strap with a big loop, great, you can use it. We're going to put it around us, shorten it up a little bit, so you might have to retie it if you had a knot in it. If you don't have that, you can use pillows or you can use blocks, anything that you can put under your legs. We're coming into a bound Baddha Konasana, or bound butterfly pose. So I am going to put something, if you have a strap, around the back of your hips, not your lower back. You want it to be below where the hips are, rather than tugging on your lower back. And then we're going to slide it around the bottom of the feet here. So the soles of the feet together, and then the strap goes around the bottom. So it's going, so you can think of it as going around the back of your hips, coming around, going underneath the bottoms of the sides of your feet, and then coming back up. So it goes over the inside of the legs, around the back, and under the feet. Take a look at that. And then once you're situated and you feel like it's tight enough, give a little tug. Maybe you have it a little bit tighter. If you don't have them, again, this is where you'd be putting blankets or pillows underneath. And you can double check that it's not on your lower back, that it truly is low enough for your hips. Slowly lower yourself down onto your blankets. I like to make sure there is no gap between my hips and the blanket here. And then you can just adjust that top blanket to give you a little bit of support, whatever's needed for your head. Take just a breath here, and then you can bring your hands back to feeling those side ribs. Just allow the breath to really expand them and let them kind of open up. And then just as importantly, let them really release and kind of surrender back down. So a couple of breaths like that, maybe with your hands for feedback. And then you can open your arms out to the side and just be here. You can stay here for as long as what feels good for you. Maybe you pause the video and just allow yourself to be present to how this opening feels in your body right now. For the purposes of the video, I'm going to go ahead and release. I'll bring my legs a little bit together and press up and then remove the strap. I also want to make sure that you feel really comfortable. If something doesn't feel right for you, anything that we've just done, don't feel that you have to do it. Really being present to what's kind of happening in your body, what's the signal to slow down or to stop, and adjusting your practice from there. If you have any questions, reach out to me at julie@yogabodylllc.com. Here's to a happier and healthier you. Namaste.